Hello everyone, so back at the Irving Park and the flip is coming. Alright, just a quick glimpse around. Beautiful day, absolutely beautiful. Very warm, just exactly what I love. Sorry, let's get going for a walk. So I watched a previous video and it wasn't too bad as far as jumping around, but it would be more enjoyable to watch if I had a gimbal. Some people say that I should hold it with two arms, the selfie stick. No, I'm not going to walk around with two hands on a selfie stick because I just don't. So, alright, see this beautiful tree right in front of us here. Lots of beautiful trees. So, today I want to do a tribute to one of the few people that I would recommend anyone if they're into spirituality or thinking about getting into spirituality or philosophy, psychology. The guy covered it all. It would be Alan Watts. So Alan, you are, as you know, I consider you my spiritual father. And it is really, really important to say this outright. He influenced me probably more than anyone. So yeah, Alan Watts was very influential in my spirituality. I had listened to him a few times and I had talked to who I had considered for a while my spiritual teacher, Shivaraj, Jason Mustakas. Hopefully you're doing well. Shivaraj, that's how I know you. That's what I'm going to call you. Instead of Jason, it's probably more a personal thing or family thing. So, yeah, I had listened to Alan Watts quite a bit. And for a while I didn't know what kind of angle I should take. So for a while I was unsure which angle I should take as far as spirituality goes, because most of us that get into spirituality, we eventually want to gain our life by working into the spirituality. So we end up really absorbing the spiritual life, living it. And one day I had talked to Shivaraj about where he saw me, and he said, oh, it's funny you mentioned that because I heard of something recently called Hakomi, which is a psychotherapy training, and it was very based off of Buddhism and Taoism. Ron Kurtz, if anybody's interested in this, very, very, for me, profound therapy. But yeah, so, and that same day or soon after, he gave me an Alan Watts recording, because Alan Watts has a lot of recordings for anybody. And make sure you look at the right Alan Watts. So Alan with one L and Watts with an S. There's another guy called Alan Watt. He was, in a sense, a little bit spiritual himself, but not really to the same level, I guess, in my opinion. So yeah, so Shivaraj gave me a gift because I had been volunteering at his wellness expos, and it was titled, "Do You Do It or Does It Do You?" So, do you control it or does it control you? And that is a very interesting question to ask. Are you in control, or is it you that's controlling it, right? So does life control you, or do you control life? Essentially, same question. And yeah, I had listened to that. It was I think it was like maybe 2 or 4 CDs. It was a long recording enough. I think it was 4 hours. It must have been a 4 CD. Look at this. Yeah, beautiful. So, yeah, so back to Alan Watts. So, he was very, in a sense, cheerful, wise, holistic in his approach. Alan Watts was at first an Anglican priest. And after that, he decided to, I think, move to Japan or somewhere where Buddhism and Hinduism was prominent. Might have been in India, I don't think it was, but anyways, small detail that really doesn't matter at the end. So when he moved there, he got into Zen Buddhism. And then he, in a sense, had the two main systems when it came to spirituality. He had the Western world, which was about doing it. And some people might disagree, as in the Bible, God is in charge, not us, right? So you had the Western world. When I say like Western world, I see this society more as a stoic, not in the way that is what is a proper word here for stoic? To be a stoic, right? To be somebody to look up to, or to be somebody honorable, trustworthy. And this society here, if you just blindly trust someone, you probably will get burnt. But not everyone is like that, obviously. But yeah, so Alan Watts, how many hours did I spend listening to him? I'm sure well over 100 hours of his recordings. that I listened to, because even though that I had like I said, a 8 hour part series on him, he had way more. Just on YouTube, there's still a lot of recordings of him. And for me, to be honest, like, these days, I don't know who to trust anymore when it comes to politics and spirituality and medical issues and everything. I don't know who to trust, because as time progresses, I'm seeing more and more people that I trusted turn untrustworthy. So they used to be about peace, and now they're about control or something along that line. So yeah, now it's like, right, there's some people that said that we should trust the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama is CIA paid, so he's paid by CIA. And then you have people like Sadhguru, that now he is part of the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab. I don't trust him. For a long time, there was this guy called Max Egan that I really trusted, and now he is basically like, all his videos are about is, well, Israel. You know what I'm saying? I can't even say the word. And although there's some truth to that you can't speak that word, there's a good reason why we can't speak that word. But they're not the ones that are controlling things. Absolutely not. Whatever is controlling things or manipulating things, I shouldn't even say controlling, because they're not controlling, they're manipulating things. Let me set up this tripod a little bit better view for you. Right here, maybe, yeah. So I don't know. Right now, people that are alive, I wouldn't know who to recommend, because they keep on flipping, keep on demonstrating to me that they're not on the side of truth and honor and dignity, morality, nobility, and things like that, honesty. These people have demonstrated to me that they're not. They might have been one time, but now something happened. So this is why, for me, people like Alan Watts are so important, because he's passed away. So unless there's some AI that starts imitating some Alan Watts videos and flips the script on what he was talking about. And the things that Alan Watts talked about is Alan Watts talked about a lot about seeing this life as a big play. So a big stage, like Shakespeare says, all of life is but a stage, and we're mere actors in this stage. And he also talked about how we should not take things too seriously, because he said that gods laugh about the things that humans take seriously. And then Alan Watts talked about, I think the biggest part of what he talked about was how life was a game of hide and seek. Life is a game of, now you see me, now you don't. And this is the game that good versus evil play, where one is going after the other. One is on, one is off. The one that's off is trying to put the other one off, and the other one that's on tries to make the other one on. And this dynamic basically makes the world go round. So, see my tripod moving. So yeah, so Alan Watts was very instrumental in me finding myself. He had this laugh where he talked about something and how we take something serious, and then he found it so funny how we take this seriously, and so he found it that funny that he needed to laugh. I miss him. I don't know how it is possible to miss someone that you've never met. I guess it's just indicative of how influential he was, or he is still in my life. So yeah, Alan, you're one of the very few that I've kept. You, Terence McKenna, Carl Jung, let's say Plato and Socrates. Because every time I look into these people's teachings or what they were talking about, it was very consistent. It wasn't like I just talked about when it comes to the Dalai Lama, Sadhguru, Max Egan. And I guess another thing that really left an imprint on me was how deep he was, but yet how he never made me feel, or made anyone feel, from what I've seen, inferior. He never approached things as trying to get the upper hand on people. But then again, I never was part of his real retreat, so I don't know. Maybe he was like that. I know that there's quite a few that are. But, you know, when it comes to spirituality and these things, I talked about how, for me, it's so important to embody these things. Because if we're just going to go about things and learn words from a book and then look up definitions and see what Zen Buddhist teachers have to say about this and that, then we engage into a meditation and we just basically let things go, in a sense, where this information does not transform us, that the information becomes, in a sense, worthless. Because if we're going to be spiritual, if there's going to be embodiment, it needs to be applied. And just going through the motions is just not enough. But I guess that's if you're somebody that's sincere about this, and some of them maybe are doing what Alan Watts talked about, and for them is one big joke. If you want cool videos on Alan Watts, watch him being God for 10 minutes. Or another one that I really love was reproduction. Talk about a video where he basically explained what was going to happen in the future. Let me grab this selfie stick and I'll be. So, reproduction video of Alan Watts, where he talked about how life that we have here is, in a sense, a reproduction, a mirror image there's an eagle or something flying. I'm not sure if you can catch it. So he said basically, yeah, everything was a reproduction. So this life was a reproduction of something else. And he said this is the direction that we're heading as far as technological advancements go. He talked about how basically in the old days there were people doing paintings of people, and then eventually there's somebody that was duped, a king that was duped by a too flattering painting of a potential wife that he agreed to marry. And because of that, there was something that came about it, and it was about official art, officiel. And then it was very important to represent whatever you were painting in a truthful way. So not to be too flattering, or not to be, I don't know what the proper word for the opposite of flattering, but you know what I mean. So this basically started a chain of events where basically we wanted to reproduce what was there. And he talks about this also, like reproduction also has to do with reproducing a child. It's the same thing going on. And he said basically when that started, there was at first black and white pictures, and then people said that, oh well, it's not lifelike because there's no color. And so people started adding color. And then as people added color, some people that said, well, that's not enough. What makes somebody a big part of what makes somebody who they are is how they act, how they move. And so that inspired the movies. Now I'm going quicker here than what the video was actually talking about. There's more steps, but eventually people created movies because they wanted to recreate what life is about on the screen. And then people said, oh well, that's still not realistic enough. Big part of what it is to replicate someone or something is to be able to feel it. So then people started wanting to create some holograms. And I think I misspoke here. There's another step before the holograms, or But anyways, basically what is heading towards is virtual reality, which is what we have now, where people are trying to go on the internet and then they go into a program where they're living a fantasy life of their own choosing. So Alan Watts talked about this too, that along the same line of what he's talking about this, about the inventions right now that are wanting to duplicate life, replicate life, is that there was a desire, then we created this desire, we created this need, or the desire led to a invention where we can create a life of our choosing. But he also talked about this, where this is very connected to what I'm talking about. And it appears that I'm jumping from story to story. But Alan Watts said that there was one day he started to explore in his imagination that he was on the machine, and the machine is in a sense a representation of the totality of life, and in front of him all sorts of buttons, levers, and so one button and boom, you're there when you were building the pyramids. Another button, boom, you're being fed grapes by the most beautiful woman in the world. And boom, and you're in the most beautiful place on earth. And then he kept on playing with that machine. And then it was fun for a while. And then he, in a sense, he tamed all his desires. And when that happened, when he got bored of all the different buttons and things that would pop up and everything that was freely available, it got boring because it wasn't difficult. And then he says all of a sudden he noticed a button that said surprise, and then he pushed that button because he didn't want. So he pushed that button because he wanted something new. He wanted something unpredictable. He wanted that surprise. And when he pushed that button, boom, here we all are. And he said that's, in a sense, a good explanation of being alive here. So for a good part of your life, you want to be in control, but then you start to get bored of being in control. And I'm just turning here because there's a car coming. And yeah, so basically we let go of the control, and by letting go of the control, we get a surprise. And that's in a sense what we want to experience. So when he talked about reproduction, he was talking about us wanting to reproduce life. And in a sense, this is very much the direction we're going. You want a tree, boom, you plant that tree. You want this, boom, you do that. And yeah, so it gets right. It gets too lame. It gets too predictable. So if we can basically just let go of this act of control and let life dictate what is going to happen. So, right, the Western world or the Eastern world, so the Stoic attitude of taking charge, or the passive, which is, for me, the best way to explain this would be Buddhist, I guess. A bunch of different bugs I didn't see before. So yeah. And I'll relate it to this is, and Alan Watts talked about which side, when somebody asked him, how do you sleep, on your back or on your side, your stomach? He said, I sleep on my back for a little while, and then I get bored of that, and then I change, either go on my side, or and then I get eventually bored of that, and again I turn, and eventually I get bored of that, and I turn again, and this is why the world keeps going around. So in a sense, he was implying that us moving while we're sleeping is why the world turns, or maybe the world turns, and then it makes us want to flip from side to side. So what is it? Do we control life? Or are we just a puppet? Are we the experiencer? Are we the participant? Are we the creator? Are we the director? Are we the writer? So yeah, so are we the director of this? Are we the script writer? Are you all these things? Is it happening to you, and are you doing it at the same time? This is something that I've told a couple of my friends that we spend a lot of time saying is either this or that. What if it's this and that? Right? When we say it's either that or this or that, we're stuck into the competition again, where there is somebody that's right, somebody that's wrong. And we want to praise whoever is right, and we want to put down or bash people who are wrong. So very much about competition, right? Finding a scapegoat and somebody to blame or somebody to elevate on a pedestal. Be careful with people that elevate people on pedestals, because as soon as you elevate someone on a pedestal, you can make them crash back down. So if somebody starts to give you compliments on how great you are, be careful, because they might be readying you for a crash down. So that's very much a game that narcissists play, right? Where they love bomb, trauma bond, right? And this is right. We can blame narcissists for being this way, but we have to also imagine that that narcissists were probably shown this, or they experienced this personally, probably from their mom and dad. So, and a good example of this is, and I've experienced this myself a couple times, where people say they love you, deeply, deeply, deeply love you. Then 5 minutes after, they want to run you over with their car. And that's trauma bonding. And it's very much like this when your experience, let's say, from your parents, it could be an example of what I'm saying here. It could be an explanation of what I'm saying here, is that maybe these people, they were praised. Maybe these people were told how much they were loved by their parents, and then soon after they were put down, insulted, neglected. So they believe that love is about that. It's about putting people up, praising them, and then soon after making them crash down. They believe this is what love is. So they keep on repeating what they experience. And isn't that the case for many of us, where we repeat family karma? Some of it's not all karma is bad, right? But yeah. All right, so I'm at the end here. Might be a little bit of a longer video. I did not really focus on Alan Watts as much as I really wanted to, but hey, that's what I talked about. So I love you all. Wish you all the best. Hopefully you're enjoying this beautiful, warm summer day too. And yeah, Who inspired you? Who do you hold in high esteem and you haven't made crash down? So, bye-bye. Until next time.